Hey guys, it's Nelson. Welcome to Working Class Music. I just wanted to let you guys know right up front there's a little audio issue on this episode. I forgot to press record on my microphone, so my audio sounds a little bit weird. But other than that, everything else sounds fine, and this is going to be a great video. Also, make sure you watch the newest installments of Pedals of Summer that are dropping the same day as this video in our shorts and on our TikTok and on our Instagram and all that. Anyway, also if you're watching this on the week it drops, the week of the 4th of July, wish me a happy birthday in the comments because that's my birthday. Alright, here we go. Check it out. So who wants to start things off today?
Yeah, whose idea was this?
This was my idea. I'm trying to get more content.
Hell yeah.
Alright, so Jason, tell us why we're here.
Hey everyone, again, welcome to Working Class Music. This episode is going to be a bit different because I felt like we should do more topical pieces and more discussion pieces because, you know, we're a group of friends and we have personalities and opinions on things. Yeah. And right now, one of the varying opinions is the death of guitar YouTube, which there's been a couple of videos floating around, some from a couple of our friends like Landon Bailey and Henning Pauly, you know, and some with some very good points. So I figured, why not have the discussion here? Because we're not as large as them. So wouldn't it affect us more? I don't know. So let's start with our thoughts on the death of their so-called death of guitar YouTube. Nelson.
Okay. So let me answer your question with a question on this topic, Jason. Since you would also be close to the subject of this question, how many years in a row have there been articles that Guitar Center's gone out of business?
Oh shit. Yeah. That's every 5 years at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
every year at least.
Last time I checked, I mean, your checks are still clearing. Yeah. So
can I get a quick recap of what exactly is going on with this? Because I don't know if they're I don't know the facts behind this story.
So basically, numbers are down on YouTube for guitar-based channels, and content creators are panicking. I was going to say it nicely, like trying to come up with other revenue sources, so to speak, or different content. Okay. So, you know, of course, you know, here we noticed a dip in numbers, but, you know, we've also noticed the rise in numbers. Sure. So I thought it would be topical for us to talk about it. Yeah. But, you know, other content creators have made videos on it, and it seems to be a topic of choice right now.
So this is interesting because I've just noticed that the YouTube algorithm for me personally has been really weird lately. It's been pushing stuff towards me that I'm not usually watching. Mm-hmm. And I watched a freaking atheist debate show thing one time, and now that's like 99% of my feed.
I was going to say that's my apologies.
Yeah. But I'm like, but it's like I watched that guy one time and now it's all I get. So it's like sometimes the algorithm is just weird. Sometimes they're just trying new stuff, and I wonder if we're paying the price for that right now.
Yeah. I mean, do you guys typically watch guitar YouTube stuff?
Here's the thing. I don't typically watch guitar YouTube stuff. Mm-hmm. I don't watch guitar stuff on YouTube, mainly because a lot of guitar stuff on YouTube is, like, way longer than I feel like it needs to be. Like, I've joked on the channel before about, you know, Ryan Burke and his 40-minute videos on one guitar. You know, love Ryan. Yeah. But, yeah, I mean, like, I just, like, I don't know. Like, I like to watch long-form videos on stuff that I feel like, you know, like, I guess matches, you know, the amount of time you'd need for it. Because, I mean, sure, if you're, like, super into, you know, guitars and how they're made and the ins and outs of it, sure, there could be a 40-minute video for you about it. But for me, I'm just, like, with the guitar, it's like, does it look good? Is it comfortable to play? Mm-hmm. Does it sound good? Bing, bang, boom, you can knock that out in, like, 10, 15 minutes. Yeah. So I watch a lot of YouTube shorts, a lot of TikTok videos, a lot of Instagram reels on you know, on gear content and things like that. And, like, that's how I've been staying up to date with stuff. But, like, I don't think Guitar YouTube is dying. I mean, like Xander said, I think there's an algorithmic change going on.
And I think it's going to be like when I'm personally consuming that sort of content, it's because I'm shopping for that thing. So I'm not necessarily a regular watcher of anybody's channel except I guess ours because I'm quality control. But if there's a pedal that I really want and 5 different folks have a video about it, that's really useful to me. So I think maybe could it be tied to the fact that people just aren't shopping for gear that much right now? That's also kind of, at least in the States, we're having all these economic problems going around. People are losing their jobs left and right.
Yeah.
Do you think maybe people just aren't looking at pedals and amps and guitars like they were a couple years ago?
Then economically, you gotta look at the time of year.
Yeah.
It's the summertime.
Yeah.
Folks are on vacation.
Yeah, people have spent their monies on vacation. So all the extracurricular spending is already spoken for, and isn't as much in the gift market like a lot of music gear is. Because I feel like, by the time the fall rolls around and you're coming into the holiday season and everything, I feel like a lot of people who were making these videos saying everything's dying is probably going to be eating a little bit of crow, once gift giving season comes around. And people are like
trying to figure out what to get for their little
musicians. Yeah, get for their little musicians, or their their blues lawyer husbands, or their their dad rock dads,
or their shoegaze sad boy.
Yeah, or their shoegaze sad boyfriends, or girlfriends. Women play music too. It's like I really think it's just like a time of year thing. Like I mean, our numbers have been what they are because we've had our own problems with consistency and everything else, and that's a whole other topic for a whole other time. Yeah. But still working with Jason on Play Jason. That shit's going like fucking gangbusters, dude. So like,
Congrats.
It's like I think it's partially time of year and. Maybe people need to kind of change up their content style a little bit.
I personally feel that a lot of gear in general hasn't, which is funny because this does tie to the other question, which I guess I can make this point and then answer the question. Yeah. Sure. So I personally feel like gear-wise, there's been a bit of oversaturation, and there are things that people love that have a genuine hype behind them, like the Chase Bliss Brothers AM. Like, that was a hyped pedal, probably the most hyped pedal of the year. Or, it's too early to say the Helix Stadium, because,
It's crazy.
Yeah, it hasn't come out yet, and honestly, the reaction from my point of view has been very nuanced. Like, the people that are in that circle are all about it. For me as an outsider, I'm just like, But I think
I don't know if I need a pedal that does my light show for me.
Yeah.
But for the folks who do, that's awesome.
Yeah, but I to jump onto what you guys were saying, with the question I asked, like, because for me, I do partake in watching guitar YouTubers, and a lot of them are my friends. But at the same time, I will say I've noticed over the year, which I've said this in our group chat, like in our friend YouTuber group chat, that right now for me, like, especially since I'm so involved in music and YouTube, I basically, my watching habits, have dwindled. I still watch the same channels. I'll watch Ryan from 60 Cycle Hum fuck up a Jaguar. That is something I will still watch because I know it's going to be entertaining.
Ryan's just an entertaining guy.
Yeah. So, and I've said this to him. I said it in the chat. Yeah. But I think the thing is, it's just become more direct because I guess my follow-up question was going to be, is there an oversaturation of YouTubers or, but we'll get into that. But I think there is something to be said of the gear that's flooded the market, and a lot of people, one, it's just we have too much of a good thing and people's financial situation. Yeah. And that's something that needs to be considered because, do we really need another clone? But
Right. And I'm wondering...
Or a lawsuit about it.
yeah.
So that's where kind of my head is at, is like, is this a YouTube thing or a Guitar Gear thing? And I think it's a Guitar Gear thing.
Well,
there was that article just recently about, it was Fender's CEO or something like that, talking about how they're having a hard year. And if Fender's having a hard year, we're all having a hard year. You know what I mean? That's just how that goes.
Well, to follow up, I was going to say, do you guys think that there's a oversaturation of guitar YouTube channels?
No, I don't think.
Okay, so let me touch on this as somebody that's on the outside of this a bit. You know, it touches back on what I was saying a second ago about people kind of changing their content a bit. Because, like, I don't watch a lot of, like, guitar YouTubers and stuff like that, but somebody, like, gear-wise that I'm constantly tuned into is somebody like Emily Hopkins.
Yeah, she's amazing.
Because, you know, sure, you know, she's a harp lady and all that, but it's not just that, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, you know, they're, you know, offshoots of different things that you can do with these pedals, and different ways to demo these pedals, and different things that you can do with these pedals. You know, there's a lot of personality in the whole guitar YouTuber sphere, but I don't think there's as much creativity as there could be.
Sure.
But to add on to your point real fast, I think the distinct personalities have stood the test of time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, I mean, yeah, you look at somebody like Ryan, you know, you look at like, Emily, like, people that have been around, like, since before we started that are still, you know, still going strong, but I feel like that's because they've made those changes. You know, I mean, like, I was telling you guys about, like, the little changes that we've been making over the last couple videos.
Speaking of all things as goes on.
Yeah, you know, the whole way that I've wanted to make our videos more engaging. Like, I feel like people might have taken their foot off the gas a bit.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's that. I mean, that is, there's always, but I was going to say, that doesn't necessarily mean there's too many people doing it. I think there's room for everybody, and I think that, yeah, being more creative isn't going to,
That's what I'm saying. There's room for everybody, you know, free marketplace of ideas and all that.
Some of the best demos I've ever seen were just like a guy who built a pedal, plugging it into an amp that everybody's familiar with, like an old Bassman or something like that, and then just, here's what all the knobs do.
But that's what I'm saying. I mean? That's a level of creativity to it, where it's like, here's the thing that I built.
Well,
you know,
he was selling his product. The video itself was not creative. It's just like,
that's what I'm saying.
What I mean?
Like, there's still that thing of like, he has it because he built it, and it's like people are gonna want it because that's the only place you can get there.
Yeah.
You know, like.
But I think my point was, sometimes you can be really convinced by something that the video itself isn't a crazy work of art.
Yeah.
And I think that, you know, as long as there's, but I do agree with your point that it is more fun to spice things up and do some cool stuff. Like,
I mean, that touches on what Jason was saying about, like, when there's a really good piece of gear that, you know, sure, you don't have to make a video with all the bells and whistles because the gear's that damn good.
Like, I'm always excited when Joan has a video on a pedal that I'm shopping for, because I know her video is going to be really special and fun because of the cartoons and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like, yeah, I totally see your point with that, where it's like, yeah, if you're going to do this sort of thing, you might as well have some fun with it and make it cool. Yeah.
I guess to further add to that point, because I've been thinking about it since I asked the question, and, you know, in real time as this conversation has gone, and I think the answer that I've come up with is, I don't think there's too many guitar YouTubers. I do think there's too much content, if that makes sense. But I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, because you want choices. You want different people's opinions. And to further that, I think with YouTube and the space that it is, like, you go to certain people for certain things.
Right.
So, you know, like, for instance, myself, if it's a Jazzmaster or an Offset or a Squire or a weird pedal, you know, my opinion is my opinion, and you might enjoy it and you might not. Like, if you love the shoegaze, post-rock, ambient shit, you know, you would probably be more inclined to watch my videos about that. However, if you're looking at like a Dumble content for, like, Blues Lawyer, I don't think I'm the guy for that.
You want to go to a guy who's somebody who knows that content.
Yeah.
That's like that. There's a video. I think it's Video Game Donkey or something like that. But he had a review about reviewers.
Yeah.
Where, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Where he says one of his favorite reviewers is a guy who he always disagrees with.
Yeah.
He's a movie review guy who anytime there's a bad movie, this guy loves it. Anytime there's a good movie, this guy hates it. And so his opinion is really valuable because if you know you always disagree with this person, you know what I mean? So it's, you know, if I see Glenn Fricker getting upset about something, I know I don't need to get that upset about it. And
I mean,
shout out to Glenn, miss you, buddy.
See, yeah, I mean, it goes on the point of the creativity and the personalities. I think, yeah, there's not too many, but I think there needs to be more personalities that stick out.
Yeah.
You know, because I mean, it's like, yeah, people will go to play Jason for, you know, for offsets. You know, they'll go to 60 Cycle Home to see Ryan fuck up a jazz master. You know, they'll go to Pusheen, you know, to see some sick Jaguars. You know, it's like
And jazz masters.
And jazz masters. Yeah, they'll come here to see, you know, a team dynamic and get multiple, you know,
To be inspired
viewpoints
by the
on
fact that they're way better at guitar than we are.
Well,
We still
I mean,
do.
that, and there's something that RJ mentioned to me a couple days ago when we were talking that I didn't even think about with our channel,
Yeah.
and that it's like you don't see a lot of teams, you know,
Yeah.
in this sphere.
It's usually one person alone in a room.
Yeah, or you know, one person and their camera person, you know,
Yeah.
who's not really, you know, in it like that. But
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like, you know, sure, there are a couple duos, there are a couple people that collaborate, but like there are a lot of like fucking, you know, teams who are just like, yeah, this is what we're gonna do, and here's the thing, and here's what all of us think about it. You know,
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of value in that because, you know, you're getting a lot of bang for your buck with our channel, you know?
You watch one 15-minute video, get 4 opinions.
Yeah, instead of one 40-minute video with one long opinion that could change by the end of it. No shade, Ryan.
That's so funny.
You know, like I think there needs to be more distinction. If you want me to watch your video about a pedal that somebody else has a video on, like, let me know who you are with your video.
Especially if you've already kind of made up your mind. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If the first video sold me, I'm not watching the next 3 or 4.
Well, if somebody I like makes a video on a thing I want to buy, then that's going to make me want to buy it even more, you know?
That's true.
we've talked about this, and you know what of our opinions are. I can assume this is the current state of what we think it is, and we've dabbled into what we think it could be.
Yeah.
But let's further dive into what it could be. What do you guys think the future of guitar YouTube is? And like, is there any changes that, you know, because Landon Bailey, he had a good point. Like, he's doing well with shorts and like TikTok and such.
Yeah,
and so is Emily, from Get Offset. She's doing extreme. Like, I went viral on TikTok without having a TikTok a few times thanks to Emily.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
On that note, I heavily agree with that point that, like, you've got to change with the times.
Yeah.
Shorts are just the future for all of this stuff.
People want to get that thing that you're trying to give them and then go on to the next thing.
Yeah.
Part of why, you know, we started doing more shorts, and part of why I wanted to put a lot of focus into Pedals of Summer is because Emily from Get Offset did this thing last Christmas where she was playing Christmas Time Is Here from Charlie Brown.
Oh my God.
On like a different pedal.
Oh yeah, those were so cute.
Every day,
Oh my
and I
God,
was
yeah,
like,
yeah,
that is the sickest thing.
I remember by the 3rd or 4th one, I was like, is she just trying to figure out which one she likes?
No, she was just going through all of them, and I was like,
No, it was genius.
yeah, I was like, oh, cool. I've never even heard of this pedal, but that's sick.
Yeah.
You know, and
Playing a
so-
familiar song is like a nice hook, and yeah.
Yeah, and so with Pedals of Summer, it's just like, sure, people can like our regular videos and stuff, but it's like, if they get that taste through shorts, you know, that they're like, oh fuck, that's what they're doing. You know, like you look at podcasts.
Gotta have a hook.
You know, podcasts have blown up because people have been making podcast clips. And what were people doing before podcast clips? They were making podcast highlight channels on YouTube. You know? And so it just gets smaller and smaller so people get that free sample and then they come back to your YouTube channel. So, like, yeah, I definitely think, like, shorts are the way to go, but, like, you've got to keep your foot on the gas on the regular channel.
Yeah.
So would you say that shorts have a longer shelf life than, or do you think they're a good addition to?
They are definitely an addition because
They're an appetizer.
yeah, they're an appetizer because like
You eat a couple onion rings, next thing you know, you want some wings. You want a cheeseburger, you know?
like when I'm posting on the Working Class Music TikTok, I'm dropping 4 of those a week. You know, so like, 2 of those a day.
awesome.
So like, I don't get as hung up on them as I do the regular videos because it's just like I don't have time to.
Yeah.
So
Crank them out.
Yeah, so it's like I think they're a good appetizer, but they're an addition. You know, they're a thing to bring people back to the main show. But I do think like as far as spreading your reach and keeping people interested, that's the way to go. Yeah.
That's just how it's working for all kinds of content creators, you know. I'm getting into crap that I shouldn't care about because of Reels and TikTok and stuff like that, you know what I mean? There's some fucking VR chat guy who just posts weird stuff, and I keep watching all his stuff because it's always hilarious, and it's like, whatever, you know, it's good stuff. So that's
What do you think of that, Jason?
the trends.
I don't know. Like, honestly, I think the future of guitar YouTube, our space, the space that we're in, it's very nebulous. Because I think what we're seeing is newer content creators come in and they're adding to the dynamic that's already been established, and that might arguably, and I say this very lightly, might be hurting some of the old heads.
All right.
Might be, but I think
If you get used to it too long.
I think at the end of the day, like
You guys
I
will be
think
okay.
I think the future is the same as the past. What is time? But I think that it's going to be personality driven, and the personalities are embracing the new wave of technology and making use of that. Like, I think that's the future, because I think right now people know what they're going to go for certain content creators for. And with that in mind, it's just like, okay, cool. So this person has the market on this thing, and I value their opinion. So I will watch their videos on that. But I also think for the future, if, maybe more reels. Maybe I should do more reels. Maybe I should do more of these other things, because I personally am like a dinosaur, and I haven't embraced those things. And you know what happened to the dinosaurs?
I haven't even downloaded TikTok yet.
No, I don't. I refuse to get on.
It is crazy that, I'm the youngest person on the team. I'm like, yeah, guys, TikTok is where it's at.
Yeah. So I guess, those are my thoughts on the subject. But I guess we've talked enough about it. So let us know your thoughts. Do you think guitar YouTube is dying? Would you like to see a resurgence of old content creators coming back MCU style? Like, what would you like to see?
How much would you pay us to quit today?
Yes.
I think everyone's gonna be fine. Just keep making your videos. We're just having a silly little hobby over here.
But these are our thoughts. Let us know yours down below in the comments. Also, we have all of the things. Patreon merch. You could win a free guitar by helping our channel not die and reach 20K.
Tell your friends.
Yeah,
You might
tell
win a
your
guitar.
friends. Because as soon as we hit 20K, we're giving it away.
Those things are so valuable, and it's crazy that there's, oh my God.
And so, with that said, we've been Working Class Music.
Make sure you watch Petals of Summer.
Yeah.
And, do the things. And let us know down below in the comments your thoughts. This is a new styling for us, so depending on the engagement, we may do more.
try
If
new
you'd like
stuff.
to see more, let us know down below.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool.
So,
And wish me a happy birthday in the comments.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh yeah. Thanks guys. Love you.
Later.
Cheers.